they were in the previous game. They had the wards down. Dandy and Mata were doing their thing, but given the comps they had and the jungler that Dandy had picked himself into, he didn't really have any options right there. There was nothing that Dandy could have done that game to really change how it turned out, especially after that solo kill up top from Dr. Mundo. So they were a bit hamstrung. They had excellent ward control. That'll be the hallmark of a Vici Gaming game, win or loss. But they're going to have to try and go for a bit more of an assertive comp right here and not go for that Nunu, just to not allow the Dr. Mundo counter pick to come out.
Yeah, and we'll see whether they do decide to go with that as we see the bans coming through. Azir, the only thing to be changed up here, banned away on the side of Royal Club. Going to take that one off the board. Xerath going to be an answer here as well, and that's coming out of Vici Gaming. So Hatong not wanting to go for that one or not wanting to let it through for a first pick.
I mean, the blind pick Xerath has been coming up across the board. Over in the LCK, we see blind pick Xerath there as well. It's a risk, and it was preyed upon in the last series right there from the expertly played Fizz by Korn. But Xerath's a very strong champion. It's catapulted up the pick and ban right here. Even though we're still on 4.21, we've come from the Janna, Jarvan, and Gnar first picks into that Xerath just because he has so much power in the mid lane. And even Azir, the highly fancied pick that we see so often against him, it's not necessarily a favorable matchup for Azir.
Oh, most definitely not. Waiting for our last ban to come through. Jarvan was actually taken off the board here, so Royal Club not looking to first pick that one either. An interesting blue side ban that we don't see coming through all that often. He's going to leave a few of these top lane picks open, and Kohler is going to find his Kassadin, and he's going to lock that one in straight away. Could be going to Korn too, though.
Yeah, and Kassadin, while it struggled in the previous series for LGD, Wayless wasn't able to get it going. Has been so instrumental in a lot of wins in the LPL so far this season. So not a surprise whatsoever to see it locked in. And of course it has that flex pick potential. It could be in the top lane, could be in the mid.
And we've seen Kohler go off on that champion as well, as previously mentioned, and we'll see whether it is going to be in his hands or whether or not Kohler's going to take that to the mid. And I could imagine that they're just going to be flexible with this. Leave it to the last minute to decide who's going to be picking that one up, as Carry looking to take away the Thresh here potentially, and Dandy's locking in that Rengar straight away.
So a bit of excitement coming through. Dandy's Rengar is still the world leader in that champion, so it's nice to see it picked up. And taking the Thresh away from Zero seems like a very smart adaptation right here. He's shown so much proficiency on that champion last game. It wasn't the Zero show like it was in previous Thresh games, but it didn't need to be because Kohler was running wild in the backline. But still, take away a powerful champion. Janna's banned, Thresh is taken away. Gonna need to be a new idea here for Zero.
Potentially. Insec actually looking at the Nunu here as well. Could be dangerous because we might see a repeat of what happened last time, as Korn going to look at picking up that Gnar here for Kohler. And we know Kohler's Gnar. This is a terrifying prospect. And with that hyper, you could imagine that a repeat of what happened last time may not necessarily be coming through just because of that % health damage.
Of course, now we do know that it's going to be Kassadin in the mid lanes. They're able to adjust accordingly here. Vici. I actually do really like the Nunu pickup here just because whenever it's a ganking jungle, whenever it's someone like Vi, like Lee Sin, who you know is going to be proactive in terms of ganking, having double Sightstone allows you to get in there, get the aggressive wards down, and stop him from having those easy lanes to feed on right here. The counter gank king is Dandy. He doesn't need to reach level 6 to get his ganks down, but having double Sightstone I think could be very powerful.
Most definitely, and we'll see whether Royal Club can actually battle back as we see some very interesting picks coming through here. That might be a Fizz in the top lane.
Yeah, we'd have to guess it's going to be Fizz top, and Carry's finally living up to his name here. It's probably going to be an AP Fizz. If you look over to the EU LCS, we saw the Trinity Force Blade the Ruined King AD Fizz build, which has been picking up steam in solo queue. It's interesting. It's very interesting, the 1v1 sets. A lot of champions find it very difficult to trade with that champion. And given that it's going to be the Gnar up top, maybe it's looking for a bit of all-in favor to stop Gnar from having that free lane in the top lane.
Yeah, and Zero still looking around well, thinking about going with that Kalista one more time. See whether it's going to work out as well for them this time as it did last time. And I mean, it wasn't necessarily on the Kalista, it was more the Mundo show here, but did have a very respectable score towards the end of that one. And having a Kalista and a Nunu on your side means that neutral objectives are basically yours regardless, and they die so quickly.
I mean, the priority for Starhorn Royal Club here is to put Well on a champion he's comfortable on. That's all they really need to do. That's all they can really expect from Well, is to go even or maybe even slightly lose against a seasoned AD carry like Vasily right here. So he was able to perform on that champion. Why not pick it up again? He's already in the comfort zone on Kalista. He has his eye in for the mechanics. It's a smart pickup.
Yeah, and Vasily hovering over a few different options here, and we'll see what he decides to go with to counter this one out. And it's actually going to be the Tristana locked in here as well, so very much a comfort pick here for Vasily if you've seen anything of what he's done historically, and we'll see how it shapes up here against the Kalista. And I don't necessarily know where the peaks and troughs are for Kalista thus far, because she is very, very new, but whether they'll be able to punish the weaker mid-game here of this Tristana effectively with that champion is something that I'm looking forward to discovering.
I mean, Kalista will definitely struggle against Zed. Obviously, they're picking Kalista into a Zed Fizz comp here, so regardless of what flavor of Zed or Fizz they're going to see, it's two champions going to be able to dive upon, potentially have a huge amount of burst damage or apply the fish and have that instant CC right there. So the Kalista's going to have to play so safely to be relevant in these fights. But again, it's just comfort. That's the important thing right here. Get well on a champion that he understands, that he's already got his iron and practice spawn. In a team fight, he's not going to be looked at as the primary damage carry like a Name or an Uzi might have needed to be. And it's going to be Corner Caller once again looked at to be a really strong force in this game.
Yeah, and we'll see whether the return of Kohler's Na here as well is going to be as impactful as it has been historically. And now up against a Fizz in this top lane as well. So we've seen all sorts of different options coming through to try and counter out this Na. We saw Lupa go for the Annie twice in a row and then the Cannon as well, of course. And not really working out. Nothing really found as far as a hard counter to this Na is concerned. But see how it goes as we hop onto the Rift. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. On to the Rift now with our final game of the evening between Starhorn Royal Club and Vici Gaming. We'll see what is going to happen as Insec, moving on out here, has picked away Dandy's champion from last game, but Dandy going to be very comfortable on that Rengar.
There's a lot of questions being asked of this Vici Gaming team comp here. I mean, ostensibly, look at the top half of the map. We've got 3 jumping in assassin champions right here between the Fizz, Zed, and Rengar, Dandy's Rengar right here. So there's a lot of potential for assassination coming onto a champion who needs to auto-attack to have any semblance of mobility in a fight. But again, Caston's been so strong as well. We see Dandy and Mud out there invading very aggressively onto the blue buff.
Very aggressively. A couple of shots down onto that ward there as well. And the rest of Vici Gaming now rotating around, wanting to potentially find themselves Kohler, who's taken a lot of damage from carry there on the top side. He's going to go back to base, though. It's going to be fine because, of course, only 1 minute into this game.
All in against Na has traditionally not worked, especially in the mid game once Na is able to get a few tanky items and out-sustain any damage from, for example, the Lupa that Annie's tried twice against Na right here. Again, the flavor of Fizz we actually get is going to be super interesting. But whatever it is going to be bad news for Well on this Kalista for sure.
Yeah, Well has actually decided to start with that E as well, so not going to have quite the amount of % health damage available from that W as he takes away these Krogs to help out Insec, I believe.
Meanwhile, we see Dandy starting at red buff, so fairly standard starts for them jungle right here. Actually, Nunu's going to be soloing out, and Kalista will enter lane level 2. We saw earlier in a previous series Kalista getting massively ahead after out-trading with the instant level 2. It'll be interesting to see if Zero and Well can recreate that right here.
And we've seen actually Castodans do quite well here against Zeds as well, and Hatong Zed, we'll see whether it can stand up to Korn. But what do you feel about that matchup in general as far as how it goes throughout this game?
I mean, Zed was traditionally seen as a counter pick to Caston, just because, of course, Caston has so much extra magic shield from his Q, and Zed does it purely physical damage outside as a passive. So on the one hand, you can see it as a counter pick, but it just might lead to Korn going for a slightly different item build here. We might see the Iceborne Gauntlet, more tanky Caston coming out, or we could just see him playing super safe, clearing waves under the turret and waiting for the jungle pressure to come in from Nunu.
Yeah, and seeing whether he can utilize that huge amount of mobility as well, as he does have a decent amount of farm here in this mid lane. Hasn't been pressured too far, as Dandy's going to go down very low in this jungle, of course, is what a Rengar is likely to do throughout this game. Kohler hanging back a little bit far here, as Carry's just going to be utilizing his Fizz, trying to clear out these waves, and not quite doing so well in the farm status, but early days.
I'm interested to see how these solo lanes will react to the first Dandy gank, just because usually when you see Rengar coming out of the jungle, you expect some sort of CC from the lanes, just to have a bit more setup for, especially once the throw of the Hun is popped right here. Instead, we've got Zed and Fizz, who until 6 have very limited damage output coming out in terms of instant burst damage. And at 6, of course, there might be some synergy right there. So it's going to be interesting to see if Rengar just sort of farms until his lanes hit level 6, or if he tries to play the counter game role.
Yeah, he of course does like to farm it up until he gets that thrill of the hunt available in order to get himself really in amongst it. Otherwise, doesn't have quite as much of an ability to do anything. And Blood Boil just going to be handed over here to Korn as Insect makes his way past. And Shuriken's going to do a little bit of damage there as well. And Dandy, as he tries to make it towards this level 6, see whether the rest of the lanes can hold up, because I'm not going to have too much support here.
In terms of ganking pressure, as you say, Rengar mostly a counter ganker till level 6, and Nunu not known for his ganks, more known for controlling the enemy jungle right here. So Insect probably wants to rush that Sightstone just to get a bit more predictability to Dandy's jungle route, or they might even look for a very early dragon to trade off that consume.
We'll see what they do decide to do, but thus far it's been a relatively slow early game. You can imagine that'd be working out here for Vici Gaming. They want Vasily to have as good a time as possible here in this bottom lane to scale up into the rest of the match. Of course, Fizz going to scale relatively well as well, and the rest of the team still looking great. But, I mean, both of these teams sort of very late game focused.
There's a lot of power in the late game between Fizz and Kalista, and then, of course, all the assassination potential coming out from Vici Gaming. It's interesting to see how tanky Dandy goes with his build right here. Just because he has so many dive buddies in a fight, potentially all 5 members of Vici Gaming flying into a fight, theoretically, that he might go for the more damage-focused build that we might expect out of Insect, just to try and get that very quick pick onto well on that Kalista.
Yeah, Cole actually getting caught by the Empowered Bowler there just as he's bouncing away. He's going to be more than fine, though, and it looks to me like Carry and Dandy wanted to get some damage onto this top tower.
And we see the first buy here. Components of the Catalyst coming out from Cassidy. We're not going to see the super greedy tier build that Wayless built last game coming out against this Cassidy right here. And also a lot of long swords for a lot of instant power for Zed in that lane.
Yeah, couldn't quite finish off Bilgewater Cutlass, or of course that Brutalizer has just decided to buy as many swords as possible. You gotta buy swords, you know, he's an assassin guy.
He'll find something useful for them eventually.
He's gotta use swords, man. It's like an ammo system. You've got that many swords in order to get down these abilities, but you see in the bottom lane, Vasily taking a lot of damage here. You can imagine that could have been from a Zenith Blade from 0 as he tries to get in amongst it. Well, falling low a little bit as far as mana is concerned, but definitely has enough health to battle these members, and Marta going to take a bit of damage as this round comes through.
It looks like it is going to be the AP Fizz in the top lane right here, which probably makes a lot of sense given that we're still on patch 4.2 and we haven't seen those dramatic nerfs to the AP Fizz playstyle that we'll see later in 5.2. Burst against a Gnar doesn't traditionally work, so I'll be very interested to see how this lane matchup goes ahead in the top lane.
Yeah, Carry might find himself having another troubling time. Cola doesn't have his teleport, and Carry does. There could be some potential moves coming through from Vici Gaming as Atong makes his way back here to the mid lane. Dandy hanging around as well, but no one really making too many moves. It has been Silent Royal Club with a slight gold advantage now, just based on how this farming has shaped up, especially here in the jungle and top lane.
Nunu very much focused on farming. He has the Sightstone now, so Insect will start getting that aggressive wards down. If they can get any semblance of complete vision on Rengar as he hits level 6, the amount of pressure that's relieved from his lanes makes up for the lack of ganking pressure that a Nunu offers his lanes.
Oh, most definitely. Tom getting caught by a Q there, and there's, in fact, the Zenith Blade through from 0. The Death Mark to come down as well, but Hatong, he's definitely going to die first blood, going over to Korn. The Ignite sticking down, not going to be enough, though. Really nice roam coming through from 0.
And you almost never say this, Atlas, but for once the warding really let down Vici Gaming. There were no wards to catch that Leona in transition right there. Able to pop up into the mid lane completely unbeknownst, and Zed falls down. So first blood well earned by Silent Royal Club.
Yeah, and that was before 0 hit level 6 as well, so no solar flares to come through, just stunning him up with that Shield of Daybreak, and really beautiful start here for Korn. Already has that Catalyst completed. Bilgewater Cutlass now here for Hatong as well. Now going for what looks like a Brutalizer with another longsword. But you have to say things looking good for Royal Club once again. here at the start of this game.
And I really do like Gnar in this Fizz matchup in top lane. He has the ranged auto attack to do a lot of trade. He actually has already eaten a fish from Fizz and is still mostly completely topped up with health pots to spare. So I don't see how this lane matchup will ever swing in the advantage of Fizz. I feel like it's going to be completely on the back foot in the whole of this laning phase.
Yeah, this burst damage just really not working out. Of course, the Grievous Wounds could do something as far as stopping the evolution from doing too much restoration as far as that health is concerned. But apart from that, not going to be happening too much as Carry will be going in just a little bit. Doesn't have Chum the Waters available yet again. And Dandy, he's actually going to have to pop through all the hunt here because he's being caught out. The ward going to be put down by Insect, but the kitty just going to go invisible and then take the Scuttle Crab.
It was really weird jungle pathing by Danny just because he knew that Fizz, he would have had communicated that Fizz had already used his ultimate there. So for a turret dive onto a Gnar without the Fizz fish, I just don't think they would have had the damage to take him down.
No, Arrow's going to go wide here in the bottom side, and you're exactly right. There seems to be a little bit of miscommunication going on as far as the Vici Gaming camp is concerned. We'll see whether they can turn that around as this game heads towards the mid-game. Of course, 10 minutes have elapsed. No real looks at this dragon as of yet. We'll see who's going to make the first moves. You can imagine that if any fights are going to break out, it's going to be around that objective.
Definitely. And Zero's roam to mid has relieved so much pressure from this Castan. And Castan's actually winning in CS in the middle lane against a Zed. So given his kit and the fact that he's really usually tuned for those magic damage champions, being able to go competitive in this lane, get towards that Rod of Ages, not even have to go for a lot of early armor, maybe an early Ninja Tabi or something, is a massive win for Khorne.
Yeah, it's beautiful for Khorne. 10 minutes have elapsed. We'll see whether he's going to pick up that Rod of Ages anytime soon. Of course, wants to have that as quickly as possible. Going to sweep out some wards around this dragon, and that does seem to be the focus. Zero just going to wander past this pink ward. A little bit unfortunate, but they've started off this dragon. Insect has a lot of power against this one, and so does Wei as well. And we'll see exactly what this execution damage is going to look like.
The Solar Flare is down also, having used it already there, but there's still no invitation for Vici to come in there. First dragon goes down for Starhorn Royal Club.
Yep, easy as that. Starhorn pick it up without any contest at all. Hexdrink has been finished up here on the top side, and Sheen is the response. Hatong going to throw some shurikens out. Kohler actually very low here on the top side, as Dandy doesn't quite have his ultimate available yet. He's just waiting for Kohler to overextend there just a little bit. Oh, there's actually the flash into the Gnar, though. And we'll see whether Carry's going to be able to get this one down. The boulder's not going to land. And Kohler is going to survive another day, but that was a beautiful playful trickster, just unable to really get the damage.
We see Hatong is definitely going to be first to make the rotation here, so they're going to have to back away. Even Insect cannot stand true against these three members.
Yeah, we do have a couple of extra members. There's the Absolute Zero coming through as well. Going to do a lot of damage, but not going to quite be enough as Hatong. He's just going to tank up this one. Kohler teleported back in. That's not what he really wants to do. He's going to get exhausted. Dandy pops that W for some healing there as well. And a beautiful dive to come through from Vici.
5 members strong was that rotation to the top lane by Vici, and that was so fortuitous that the teleport came in right there. He would have expected 1, 2, 3 low health members, but the extra 2 was completely new news to Kohler right there. He falls, and that's a massive rotational win for Vici Gaming.
Yeah, beautifully played, and they know that the dragon is down, so they're not going to lose anything by taking down that top tower, by rotating 5 members up there. Beautiful adaptation to their play. We'll see whether they can capitalize on it as we see the replay.
So we see the replay right here. Insect just tries to bite. I think he's going to get a lot of low health bars in for Kohler to be able to clean up this fight. But it's when Mara shows up, Kohler realizes the jig is completely up here. The death mark's put on. There's 5 members here. We even see Vasily jumping in to get an assist. And it's just a case of a complete map rotation in an area of the map where there were no defensive wards down for Starhorn Royal Club.
Yeah, well, did get a bit of time there on the bottom side, so it's stretched out a slight gold advantage here on this Kalista. Almost has that Infinity Edge caught up, but there's going to be the Zenith Blade landing on Amada here. The box is down, though, slowing him up to high heaven. The exhaust immediately onto Hatong, but Zero is dead. Solar Flare just going to go off just for funsies, as Insect's now going to take a Chum the Waters to the head, and Vici Gaming have turned this one completely around.
It's a new Vici Gaming here, Atlas. Excellent rotational play, both at the top of the map, then instantly in the bottom of that. It looked like it was a teleport coming through from Carry, but instead it was just intelligent pathing to know that was the next point of contention. They pick up the exit kills right there, and suddenly the gold is way in the advantage of Vici.
It most definitely is. Khorne has finished off that Rod of Ages, but it's still stacking, of course. Hasn't really hit his stride as far as that item is concerned. Vasily going to be able to take down this bottom lane turret as Shuriken's going to go a little bit wide here in the mid lane. And Hetong, he's still feeling fine. He's 2-1 and 2 now.
Yeah, Korn did pick up a very fast snowball Rod of Ages. Was finished at about the 11:40 mark, so 21 minutes into the game. We're seeing basically a completed Rod of Age transformation there, so it will be a strong Kassadin. But it feels like Starhorn have noticed that he has the Rod of Age, said, all right, we'll start engaging in skirmishes. But it's important to note that Kassadin's damage is going to start to scale up. In the longer fights, it's all about Kassadin diving in with his Zonias and doing consistent damage over a fight. A lot of his base damages were nerfed. He doesn't have the same sort of burst potential in the early game, but he's really in a good spot of scaling into the late game. So I need to give him the time to start to pick up the supplementary items to complement that very fast Rod of Ages.
Oh, most definitely. If he manages to do that, we'll see some terrifying fights coming out of Royal Club. But at this particular moment, Vici Gaming looking fantastic, and they're just managing to get the fights that they want. We haven't quite seen the map lit up as much as we otherwise would. As Hetong, he's going to get aggressed on here, and beautiful Solar Flare to come down as well. The Rend finishes off the kill, and Wei picks that one up easy as you like.
Yeah, very smart, patient play coming in, but Korn's in trouble.
Yeah, Descent's actually landing onto Korn here. He is going to have that Rift Walk available relatively soon. Doesn't even need to use it as Kohler's going to pick up his house.
We see the split push coming in the bottom lane here. Less than half health, so this turret will fall. The first outer turret coming down for Star and Royal Club. It'll start to even up this global gold, but still a slight advantage for Vici Gaming.
Yeah, Vasily now has his Infinity Edge completed, not deciding to go for any of that static shiv action that we have seen coming through from Tristana's wanting to sort of deal with that mid-game slump a little bit. He's decided to go straight for that big one, make sure he's got as much damage as possible onto these structures, and if he gets a crit, he's still going to be bursting people down.
And damage is by far the name of the game here for Vici Gaming. Lichbane is the only item completed for Fizz. Working on the Warrior enchantment is Dandy with that Rengar. And of course, Zed is going to be working towards his Blade of the Ruin King. So they're going to go for the sheer dive right here. And there's not a lot of peel available for Well right here. They're going to have to get a picture-perfect Gnar ultimate to get the control needed for any sort of Kalista free hitting at the back of a team fight.
Yeah, Vasily almost touched by that Zenith Blade, but he's going to be fine. Dandy Hetong going to be attacking this blue buff. Going to give that over to Hetong, of course. Uses a lot of energy, wants to be regenning that as much as possible. Get a few extra spell rotations down in an engagement. And now Royal Club actually with a 4-man push here in the mid lane. Well, able to get some auto attacks down to half health already. Descent's going to go wide there on the offside. So you have Carry and Vasily just trying to clear out these waves. Carry just sort of looking, waiting for an opening to try and get in, get that Chum the Waters down.
Dandy is also split away from his team right here, looking for a throw of the hunt. They should not be giving a free map objective, especially a turret to Star on Royal Club, because they only have one ranged auto attacker in Kalista. They have a very hard taking turrets, but watch for the flank.
Yeah, Descent's actually going to land on a corner after he Rift Walk there as well. It's a beautiful Chum the Waters to land, and Hetong is very deep into this one. He's going to die though. Royal Club tearing through this fight. Carry finally picks up a kill, but he's in a lot of trouble. Vasily now locked down as well. Zero might die, but Carry, can he manage to fight off two members as Insect and Kohler are just wailing on him at this point? He's the last man standing. Playfully Tricksters over the wall, but the flash to instantly follow, and that's an ace for Royal Club.
All of the dive and the flank was answered by the tankiness of Kohler and the front line of the Starhorn Royal Club team. They spent so many resources trying to take down the Kalista right there that they had no answer to all the damage coming out from the tanky members of Starhorn Royal Club. So for them to pick up the unanswered mid-turret and then win a team fight is a massive issue for Vici Gaming.
Most definitely is. Amada managing to catch Korn as he was rift walking away as well and start off that fight with that skill on cooldown is exactly what Vici Gaming want to be doing. They're now going to start off this dragon, and you can see Royal Club, they don't really want to let this one go, but with Insect all the way back in base, doesn't look too easy.
They already have one dragon in the hole right here, so there will be 1-all. You don't want to give the 6% AD and AP to a triple assassination comp, but they don't have an answer.
They don't have any choice at all. That's exactly right. And Fate's Call's actually been popped here by Well. Just going to throw that at the minion. Zenith Blade's going to land on a Hetong. That's a beautiful Solar Flare to land as well. Hetong Deathmarks his way, trying to dodge some of that damage, but his Deathmark's not going to do much here. As Carry, he's teleported in, but he's in a lot of trouble. Chum the Waters onto Korn, but it doesn't matter. that rend is just going to tear a hole in the little fish.
Yeah, the communication between the Vici Gaming team is letting them down right here. You need picture-perfect communication to run a triple dive comp, because if there's any lag between the 3 threats diving in, between the Fizz, Rengar, and Zed, they will pay the price for it. Vasili's made a smart rotation in the mid lane here. They might be able to get a lot of damage onto this inner turret, but Vici Gaming in team fights really struggling on the communication front.
Yeah, Vasili thinking of heading back, but noticing the fact that there's no one coming in. Does actually go aggressive here onto Korn as well. The Dark Passage is available if he wants to take that one out, but this Tristana really starting to scale up. They're going to trade an inner turret in the bottom lane for this one, though, as Insect, he's blood boiled up well, and he's doing a lot of damage.
But it is an even trade in terms of structures for Vici. That's a smart rotation from Vasili to pick up that answering turret right here. He's trying to get a bit more CS in the top lane, get that top lane pushing right there. The little things Vici does so well, specifically the vision control and the rotations, but when it comes to those team fights, they are struggling to have decisive team fight wins, especially when they've committed to all-in engage with the triple assassination combination.
Yeah, and it's very difficult when they're leaving up the likes of Cola's Nah here as well, who does so much work, especially when you have things like Absolute Zero to just keep people in place, stop any fancy movement from coming through. Dandy's trying to leap around the fight, but you just can't move when there's a Nunu right in amongst it. Not to mention Zero with his incredible amounts of CC on this Leona.
The impact of Nunu this game compared to Dandy's Nunu the previous game is night and day. A lot of that is because of the Mundo counterpick, but happily and confidently picking up the early Nunu right here and stifling Dandy's Rengar. Remember, this is Dandy's Rengar we're talking about, one of the most feared champion picks of the whole World Championship, being successfully neutered by Insec on this Nunu.
Dandy now be rotating around, really needs to try and find some more action for himself. Of course, Dandy, 0-1 and 5. It's not a bad score at all coming out of this Rengar, but just a little bit outclassed as far as the vision game is concerned. As you can see, so many blue wards around this map, able to just completely line that river and making sure that, you know, Vici Gaming, they can't go anywhere unnoticed.
And a lot of people were speculating why Dandy was so good on that Rengar. Of course, a lot of NA and EU players struggling to make that pick work. And you have to say the big difference between the Vici Gaming comp and between the Vici Gaming team and the Samsung White team that was oh so successful has to be that communication factor. We've already seen little things that show us that the communication isn't quite there between the two nationalities on this team. And the Rengar pick feels just the same flavor. We don't see the counter ganking that typified the early Dandy Rengar games. It was often Dandy getting kills and assists before level 6. It wasn't trading on completely on thrill of the hunt right there. And that's not been the case the 2 times we've seen Dandy pick up Rengar for Vici.
Yeah, it is early days though, and if there is any sort of saving grace here for Vici Gaming, it is Vasili, who's managed to pick up his 2 items here on Tristana, really starting to do some work now. We saw him auto-attacking Insect there a bit. The tanky Nunu, of course, doesn't have a lot of armor just yet, but has a lot of health and is getting cut up there a bit by Vasili with his Static Shiv and Infinity Edge.
Yeah, when he goes and consumes the different camps in the jungle, of course, picks up all that extra percentage health. His health pool is what is massive for him right here. So he can tank a lot of damage. Of course, he's already at 2,700 health at 22 minutes in the game just with 2 health items right there. So he's doing very, very well in the front line as Insect right here. And it's where the Fizz top pick starts to fall apart is, the Fizz isn't able to get the fish on a priority target. He's not hitting the fish on Kalista, for example, which would be the dream, the gold standard for carry right here. Instead, he has to deal with Nunu and Nah standing on top of him and just stopping him from hitting any skill shots on a priority target.
Yeah, that's right. And once you get to that point, things get very, very difficult. And it looks like Royal Club just have such a great draft phase that it gets very difficult for teams to deal with it, even if they may not necessarily have the power picks as far as the players are concerned in all of their lanes just yet.
This will be their 4th 2-0 win, which I believe they'll put them up either first with at least top 3 in terms of series wins. Obviously, they haven't picked up any points in their losses, but when they look good, when they get their drafting down, they are a very impressive team to watch.
Oh, most definitely. And they've been sort of very polarizing here as well, not actually ever going that 1-1, always either winning or losing in emphatic fashion. And this stage, doesn't look like they're necessarily on the road to picking up another tie.
I mean, look at their three 2-0 losses. LGD, OMG, and EDG. Probably going to be top 4 teams this season.
Yeah.
Every other team they've been able to take down in a 2-0 convincing fashion. Vici, we thought they'd be around the 4, 5, 6 mark in the LPL, depending on how Dandy and Mata translated their world's performance into this new league. They're still performing their role. Dandy and Mata have looked good in isolated games, but it doesn't feel like the team is able to trade upon the vision advantages that those two members are able to give.
Yeah, not quite yet anyway. We'll see whether they can build that synergy as the league continues, but it's going to be difficult to build it for this game as Insect takes a bowler to the face there, and the Dragon looks to be the next point of contention. Carry does have that teleport available. He's split pushing here on the top side with that Lichbane going to be doing a lot of work as we're going to get into the backside of this Dragon Pit. The Rend is there. Of course, Insect's there as well with this Consume. Easily going to be able to take that one away. And now the fight has started. Hutong coming through as well. Wants to find his death mark. Dandy in a very awkward position, but Wei, he's going to flash over the wall. Oh my goodness, he's not even going to die. Picks up a double kill. Takes down Carry as well. And Vici Gaming need to get the heck out of here. Vasily to come over the edge. He says, nah, mate, I'm going to be able to easily take this one. Already picked up another kill. Hutong takes one on his way out as Kola trying to find his way in, but Vasily has full health now. Zero's going to die first. Is it Kola that's going to be next? You can imagine it's going to be difficult for him to run away from this one. The flash forward from Vasily as well. Doesn't quite have the rocket jump, and he's going to be okay.
Despite some amazing heroics in the backline by Well, after the double Gnar came in, he flashed over the back, was doing damage to the members of Vici Gaming on about 100 health right there. Vasily, as you noted, was full health throughout that fight, was getting resets. Vici's Gaming Comp finally came to par right there because the dive was successful. Well was corralled out of the fight, and it was oh so close.
Oh, incredibly close as we see it again.
So we see the replay down here. Dandy tries to get the steal and stealth on the Dragon, but it is confirmed by Star and Royal Club here. Well falls down very early, very low, but the double Gnar into the raw, and you can see, well, free hitting at the back here, but again, Vasily at the front for once. The tanks aren't able to corral Vasily, and he's able to play so aggressively in the back line, getting resets right here. So we're in a 2v2 situation. Hutong has quite a lot of health, and there's not much damage available for Starhorn Royal Club. It's just the support and the top laner right here. So a 4-for-4 trade all in all is pretty even. They pick up the objective, but we're starting to see Vasily get to that item threshold where he can rip through this front line.
Oh yeah, does have his last Whisper completed now as well, and you can see on the side of Wade, does have a Quicksilver Sash, so going to be able to get rid of that death mark when it does come down, but it's going to be very difficult when he has so many champions jumping right on him.
Yeah, it's got double duty there. It's either dropping the death mark or the fish, for example. So he's going to try. He knows that he doesn't have his flash available here. So if he doesn't go for a defensive item, he's basically food for the fish.
Yes, fish food is precisely what he looks like, but does depend how these games play out, as Cole is now going to be just farming here against Carry in the bottom lane, and the top lane turret just going to go down in an instant. So Vici Gaming, though, have an answer. They want to go straight on this inhibitor turret. Everyone on Royal Club has to back.
Yeah, we've complimented on Royal Club's rotations, but this could be a poor one right here, as we see Vasily's going to start autoing this inhibitor turret right now. Only Korn able to react, but that's enough to scare Vasily and Vici away.
Yeah, unable to get more than about 4 auto attacks off onto that turret, but it does stymie the split push there on the top side after one turret does fall.
Yeah, so a lot of pressure implied by Vici, but they haven't been able to take that really big advantage after that last team fight win right here. They're behind in Dragons. It's 2-1, I believe, in the Dragon score right here. So the third Dragon is a significant one for Vici to contest. But right now, again, the Gnar's getting stronger. He's got Spirit Visage and he's got the randoms right here. It's interesting to see him go Spirit Visage over Banshee Veil just because there's so many zoning fish, for example. There's a lot of initiation. The hooks will be coming through from Marta right here. But I guess he's just looking for the health and sustain to have a little bit more effect in a long team fight.
Yeah, it is an interesting pickup, especially with the Grievous Wounds to come through from Carry as well, but they have a plan for that one as Cole's going to clear out this bottom wave. Dandy looking for that Sentinel, really wants that 10 gold, just going to launch onto it. Picks that one up. Hutong now clearing out this mid wave and things calming down a little bit in this mid-game, Papa Smithy.
I expect Colin to be paying a lot closer attention to Vasily in the next team fight. He's had the Zonius completed in the previous fight, adding a bit more ability power on top of it right here. It's a triple AD carry item of Vici right here. He's at a very strong point of power. He's ahead in gold compared to his lane compart in Well on this Kalista right here. And he's on that super safe Tristana. So even though he doesn't have a lot of peel apart from Mata right here, it's going to be all about Cassidy trying to get on and get the assassination.
Yeah, and when you've got so many people diving in onto the other carries here as well, I mean, you have to think that a lot of the front line from Royal Club are trying to deal with that while Vici is able to free hit on the backside because, of course, you know, if everyone dives on Vici, they've still got so much damage coming out of carry here in Hatom.
Yeah, I mean, Vici definitely have the dive potential. We're talking about triple assassination coming out from their comp right here, but it's basically on Korn to deal with Vici in these fights. He's the only one that has the mobility and engage, barring a miraculous solar flare coming out from Leona to really lock down this Tristana.
Yeah, Royal Club now going for a potential siege situation. Carry's waiting off onto the side, wants to get a fish, throws it out, not going to find anyone. Absolute Zero to come down here as well. Carry immediately getting exhausted. Wei trying to kite around. He is going to head back, and the arrow there, the Gnar actually only getting a couple of stuns here as well, but Carry comes into the back line, takes out Kalista. Zero now on very low health. Korn dying as well. Vici is on such high health. Going to be able to pick up yet another kill. Carry, how are you still alive, you ridiculous human? This Gnar going to fall down as well, and Vici Gaming turn it around beautifully. A triple kill for Vici.
Vici is just going unchecked in this fight and doing massive damage, and there's no one to deal with him here. We talked about the triple damage threat. We thought that might be a hindrance for Vici, but they're able to get the kill on either Well or Korn instantly, and Vasili's doing enough damage at the backline without any peel to make up for their team comp right here. Massive play from Vici, and there's just no one on this Star Royal Club, at least at this point, who can take down Vici.
Yeah, beautiful Baron juggling there as well as Carry teleported in to help finish that one off. A lot of low members. Insec going to be very upset with the lack of a Baron in that pit. And Vici Gaming really capitalizing on that beautiful clean ace.
Yeah, they're just trying to wait for the burst to come through from Korn to be able to deal with Tristana, but it looks like that point may never come. Almost the bloodthirster completed for this Tristana here. So safe as that champion to begin with, and because there's not much diving threat coming out from Starhorn Royal Club, going unchecked 2 fights in a row, very quickly an 8-1-3 Tristana.
Yeah, and it's a seriously different story, isn't it, here for Vici? I mean, on that Sivir in the last game felt a little bit useless, but now able to really clean up these fights on this Tristana. Level 15 now, that draw a bead really giving him so much extra range as well. And Carry split pushing now on the bottom side. He's been doing fantastically. 4-3-6 and has a CS advantage here as well against Kohler. And this is one of the first times where we've seen Kohler be not super effective here on this Gnar.
I mean, the big issue for Kohler is that the damage on this team is centered on the burst of Korn and the consistent damage of Well. And what is Well to do against a triple dive comp as a Kalista? Of course, Kalista's big weakness is getting targeted CC or getting instantly burst down. She has a lot of mobility, but it doesn't help you against the Death Mark or the Fizz Fish coming through. Even with the QSS being picked up, there's so much CC between Dandy, Thresh, and all the other members of Vici right here that Well just can't do anything in these fights. The last time we saw so much dive in the LPL was Invictus Gaming against Snake, when we saw Crystal's Draven go off despite there being so much burst, but that was double Mikhail's and that was a super snowballed Draven. This is a Kalista that's basically gone even, getting easily dived by 3 members, and this Starhorn Royal Club is not focused on peel for Well whatsoever.
No, and it's going to be a lot on Korn, finishing up this Rabadon's death cap relatively soon. He's going to have a bit of a spike in damage there, and this Kassadin really needs to start doing work removing Vici from this game, because that's the story of everything, is Vici sitting in the backline untouched, destroying everyone.
Well, in a 2-threat versus 2-threat team fight, Kassadin often comes up trumps because he has that Rift Walk. He's able to get a burst in, come out of the fight, then re-engage. The disengage, re-engage is the playstyle we'd expect from the Kassadin. But when we're talking about a 4 damage threat comp, he's just getting out-damaged severely by all the damage threats coming out of this Vici Gaming team.
That's exactly right.
I mean, it's just a case of being in the front line, getting a decent burst down, looking to his teammates to help facilitate a few extra kills, but they're just dying at the hands of either Zed, Fizz, or this Tristana.
Yeah, and Starhorn Royal Club now just getting sieged down with this Baron buff available on the Vici Gaming side. Carry now has got some friends here on the bottom side as Collar and Insect come through to try and clear out this bottom wave. Dandy clearing out vision here as well as another Sentinel's going to be spotted. Mata putting down a very forward pink ward. They are feeling very comfortable on the side of Vici Gaming. And everyone moving around to the last inner turret left on this map. Vasily wants to try and auto attack it, but just can't quite find the place.
I mean, of any team in the LPL, you can tell most about Vici's confidence levels by their pink line, their pink ward line. And you can see so aggressive at the pink wards, basically just a couple of steps away from being inside Starhorn Royal Club's base. They know exactly where they're at in terms of this game. They're 5,000 gold up. They have the Baron buff. They've moved their pink ward line up so aggressively right here. And you know they're looking for one big pick onto this Callista and to finish out the game.
Yep, Royal Club now pushing up very aggressively towards this inner turret in the mid lane. Vasily finished off that Bloodthirster. 4-item Tristana is now here. Hit level 16 as well, so max level on that Buster Shot, but more importantly, only a couple of levels away from that maximum range and that ultimate safety here of a late game Tristana. Dandy looking for his opportunity to come through in the backside. Has Thrill of the Hunt available. That's actually going to be a Death Sentence landing. That's going to be the go button here for Dandy to come into this one. Insec is incredibly low on the backside. Wei, he's going to get death marked up. It's a nice QSS in order to get him out of that damage, but Dandy's trying to get on top of him. The kiting is beautiful coming out here. Vasily jumping through, just crits him in the head. Continues bouncing around this fight, and Collar now could not get on top of him, and Vasily is just too huge.
The triple kill comes through for Vasily right here. They have no answer to all the damage threats coming out from Vici Gaming. That's going to be at least an inhibitor. With 30-second death timers, I don't think they can quite finish off the game. But Vici, they're starting the march towards perhaps the first drop points for Starhorn Royal Club in a series.
And it was a beautiful double flank to come through there as well from Vici Gaming, managing to get both Rengar and Hetong on this Zed right into the backside of that one and lock down well. Well did a very good job trying to kite around, but it just wasn't enough, and Vasily's just too big.
I just have to wonder why Starhorn Royal Club were still positioning so aggressively after using that scrying orb and spotting out Danny. They knew that Rengar was there for the flank, but they still pushed up aggressively. Although they didn't have the Baron buff up, did Vici by that point, there was no need for Starhorn to be so aggressively positioned when they've had so much of a struggle in the last few team fights. And look, they paid for it there. They've lost an inhibitor right now, and they know if they drop one more team fight, this game is over.
That's true, and they've got a 6-item or 5-item Zed to deal with here as well. Has that Guardian Angel completed on top of all of that armor penetration as well as the Blade of the Ruined King. So Hetong has a lot of assassination potential here on Wei especially. I mean, does have the QSS, so the Deathmark not going to be doing too much, but of course Hetong just does heaps of damage anyway.
But it's only the luxury upgrade left for Vasily in terms of upgrading that QSS to the Mercurial Scimitar. He's fully loaded for damage. He's a massive threat on that Tristan, and I do like how Hetong's gone for the Guardian Angel, an item that's kind of fallen away in terms of competitive play. But between the Guardian Angel on Hetong and the Zhonya's on Fizz, it's sort of implied tankiness or extra considerations for a team, much like Lissandra and her Zhonya's. Having those two kind of teamfight resets available for their diving in assassins means that just killing them once or DPSing them down low will not trivialize their role in a team fight.
Yeah, it means they almost have to do it twice. There's going to be another Zed turning up in this fight at a little bit of low health. But Carry going to head back to base as well. Just going to pick up an Elixir here. So it looks to me like Vici Gaming really wanted to go for a final push in this match. Third Dragon going to be completed now by Vici Gaming. And man, Vasily is just a terrifying force to be reckoned with. 11, 1, and 5 now on this Tristana. And you know when this guy gets a comfort pick because things look a whole lot different.
Yeah, I mean, the Champs League's definitely gone completely on its head between the two series right here. Although Starhorn Royal Club made some interesting choices, the lack of peel for this Callista really negates the power of that pick. Just because against triple assassins, and remember, these assassins were picked very early in the draft, there's just nothing Callista can do.
Yeah. And Insect trying to clear out some vision here as well. Baron has respawned. Vasily's been spotted on this map as well, and it's like a beacon for Royal Club. They really want to take down this Tristana because that is what's going to allow them to get into this fight. And it's not necessarily whether Wei can kite around the big diving champions. Could be a lot on whether or not Vasily is going to survive the early stages of this fight. And if history's anything to go on, it's looking pretty good for Vici.
It's looking pretty slim for Well as well right there. We saw they did ping out Rengar on this map. They knew that Rengar and Zed were going to come through the river right here. So that was the smart tactical retreat that we expected from Starhorn Royal Club before the previous fight right here. They seem to have a better understanding of where they're at the game, but it almost feels too late. It almost feels like there's nothing that Starhorn Royal Club can do in a team, in a team fight to win it. So it's going to take a massive positional outplay from Vici for them to pick up this win.
And Royal Club just going to be clearing out these mid waves. Of course, the super creeps are coming through there. And decent wave control on both sides going to mean that they're not going to be pressured too much elsewhere. Vici Gaming now positioning around this Baron. Sentinels moving through the jungle. Make sure they're not doing any funny business. And Vasili's already started this one off.
Tristan's hitting it from the back. It is in the position of a ward right there. There was a ward spotting out that the damage had been done. It had to chunked carry out to half health right here. So he's going to have to back away a little bit. But the minion waves at top is starting to push out for Vici Gaming. It actually looks to be significantly in the advantage of Starhorn Royal Club at the bot. So it's very even in terms of side lane pushings right here. And Vici Gaming, they don't want to pull the trigger on a full-on turret dive just yet.
Yeah, they can't quite work out how they want to get in here onto the Starhorn Royal Club lineup. They know that it's been because of fortuitous flanks coming through for them that's really allowed them to succeed in these fights. And Satong's going to continue to clear out this mid. We'll see exactly how this one's going to eventuate.
So we've got Carry going to the bottom lane here. Notices the big minion wave push. He's going to push out that bot lane, set up a slow push to complement the top lane push. With both those wave stuff crashing towards the Starhorn Royal Club base, it's going to be a false choice. They'll either lose the Baron or they'll lose a significant amount of structures around their base. So it's a very smart thing to set up right here. But Royal Club, they need to make a decisive move soon before the minion waves force their hand.
Yeah, Tencent is going to go wide here as well as Marta throws that one out to look for a target. Hetong now flanking from the side. Carry looking for his way back in, has teleport available, so can be there in a moment's notice. And Royal Club, they've backed right off here and allowed Vici Gaming to have full vision control around this Baron. And they may just start that one up if they want to, but we'll see what they decide to do. No decisions being made just yet as the Scuttle Crab falls down. Dandy going to be able to clear out that ward if he wants to.
And with no true super tank, it's very risky to start off this Baron. They're going to do it, though, and you have to think we're going to see a decisive team fight coming very shortly.
Yeah, Royal Club really going to have to make this happen. Carry taking a lot of damage already. There's the Zenith Blade. Zonya's being popped already. Nice solar flare. Vasili's going to use his QSS, though, and Korn coming right through. Hetong gets his Guardian Angel popped already. And that is a trade of a kill already coming through. Vasili doing so much damage here. Carry's falling down very, very low, but manages to pick up Korn. Kohler gets a nice Gnar against the wall, but he's going to fall down as well because he's taking so much damage from this Tristana, who just walks up to him, and one more auto attack secures that kill. Insect, he's going to be pushing the mid lane because his team all died, and the rest of Vici Gaming are probably going to collapse. Vasili, though, he wants to take down this inhibitor. He has his eyes on the prize.
Yeah, the inhibitor respawned just before that team fight at the Baron there. And I was watching in the backline. Callisto was doing so much work as we see Insect making the yakety sax moments in the top lane right here. He's probably going to get away from Hetong, much to his frustration.
Yeah, has blood boiled himself up there as well. And there's an ice blast. And Insect just having a bit of fun as Vasili's going to come up and probably just crit him once.
Party poop of Vasili.
Yeah, yes. Rocket jumps in and crits him in the head.
But, I mean, there's just nothing that this Kalista can do. Well was doing some wonderful play in the backline. He was able to take down this Zed for the first death. They got rid of his Guardian Angel, and this continued to hop around. It was doing excellent kiting. But when the third, fourth dive comes in, what's a Kalista to do?
Yeah, that's exactly right. You're going to have answers for a couple of these ones, and that's great. But when there's multiple dives coming in, that's when things get very, very frustrating for a Kalista. And Vasili just going to start soloing off this
Even the casual 80 carry soloing Baron action.
Yep, no problem at all. Doesn't quite have his Mercurial Scimitar. Imagine he's sitting on a fair bit of gold at this stage. 3,500 gold in the back pocket. His wallet must definitely be full.
I mean, I don't know where Tristana puts that sort of gold.
I know, right?
The small Yoda's going to go back. get all the luxury items right here. There's the Mercurial Scimitar. We're going to actually finally see a replay of this Baron action right here. And I'm going to want you to look at well once this team fight goes. So, of course, lots of AoE damage comes out. The outplay on the Zed here is excellent. The Kalista mechanics are definitely on point. Then on to Dandy as well. It's doing excellently in the backline, but there's the third person, actually Assassin Tristana coming through.
Yep.
Everyone's diving in. So much dive from Vici right here, and it's a two-threat comp. Once Kalista goes down, there's only the burst coming through from Kassadin, and then the very slow chase down kill on Cola.
Yeah, Vici now going to be taking down their 4th dragon here as well, very close to that 5th and ever-present burning vengeance of Dragon Doom to come through from that buff. Of course, 12% extra stats, doubling everything that you receive from the rest of your dragon stats for a few minutes.
Elixir of Iron riding on her tongue as he split pushes this bottom lane.
It's a very big Zed, isn't it, down there?
It's a very amusing enchantment, I have to say.
He's got an extra BF sword here as well, so probably going for that Bloodthirst to put even more damage here. And look at this tower just get destroyed as Vasily looks at it. With the inhibitor down, looking like the bottom lane inhibitor is going to be the next option. But Vici Gaming, not very decisive as far as wanting to push for the win here. They're more than happy to sit back and let this game take its toll and move forward because they're happy in this late game. Of course, they've got Tristana. No problem at all.
It's such a subtle thing, but one thing that I think other teams should notice about this is that 44 minutes in the game, they go for a full-on retreat just so Fizz can go top lane and stop the slow minion push from coming into the base right there. There was a huge slow minion push set up by Korn in the top lane to push out this top lane, and instead of going for the dive with a side wave pushing against them, they had just that amount of level-headed and experience to communicate, all right, let's go to the top, get the push set up again, just so at minimum, if we trade, we're going to lose the minimum. We're not going to lose an inhibitor in the top lane because we've let the minion wave push so strong to a teleport from Cola. Instead, they always have all of the map working towards their advantage, and that's the sign of a team with solid play calling, but it definitely seems to favor them when they're ahead compared to when they're behind like the previous game.
Oh, yeah. Carry now has managed to push this one out again, is still up there on the top side as Royal Club are going to head back down to this bottom as more pressure is being applied. Baron buff still running strong here on Vici Gaming. This cannon creep doing a fair bit of work. Atong just wanting to keep that one buffed up by standing around, and well is going to be able to rend that one to death. Carry now has pushed this one up to the inhibitor turret. Vasily's waiting in the wings here as well as Royal Club just trying to match the rotations coming through from Vici Gaming.
And they can choose to go for the aggressive dive right here, but they also have that 5th dragon timer in their pocket right here. So there's perhaps not the same insistence on going for the really aggressive pick right here. They have so much damage among their members. They'll be confident in a team fight, but why not have the guarantee of the 5th dragon in your pocket before you go for anything too crazy?
Yeah, still definitely respecting Royal Club, of course, taking the first victory here today. Vici Gaming making sure they don't make any mistakes, don't give Royal Club any opportunities to get into this game.
And letting Royal Club farm up, though they are getting extra CS. Korn's just pinged level 18. Vasily has so much range, of course, level 18 as well. Can poke at those turrets with impunity right here. And again, we're just waiting for something to happen here. Whether it's the dragon spawning, whether it's the aggressive turret dive, it's all on Vici to make the initiative right here. And different to how when we saw the first game, or the third game of the night with EP taking on World Elite, they were in a similar position to Vici right here, but they had no control of their side waves, so they were never able to get that decisive last fight without a dive. Here, Vici have excellent side wave control, and they're just biding time for that inevitable dive.
Yeah, and it's all with the amount of vision as well that's available for Vici. I mean, they've got a couple of sneaky wards away from anything, but they know exactly what's going on around Starhorn Royal Club's base. They can even see inside, as you can see the wards on the interior. They know the movements of Royal Club, and they can match them effectively.
Yeah, they're definitely not taking any risks. They could be a serve and go for the dive, but it looks like Starhorn Royal Club might actually be making the first move.
Yeah, Righteous Glory has been popped here. Zenith Blade on top of Dandy. They just want to take him out of this fight. Well, trying to come through here. Thrill of the Hunt has been popped, but Dandy's going to fall down. Cola now taking a whole lot of damage. Vasily just melting him through. Hatong now right in the backside. Gets his Guardian Angel popped here as well as Marta to come through. Trying to get this one going. Vasily now jumping back over to the side after killing Insect. Death Sentence going to land here as well. That's going to seal the fate. Triple kill coming through now for Vasily. And Korn, the only member alive. And you have to think that this is what Vici were waiting for. This is the end of the game.
Well, Vici were looking for initiative from their own team. They didn't need to. Starhorn Royal Club, they went for the heroic defense. They realized, all right, if we wait this game out, It's just going to be the 5th Dragon coming out, and the game will be over anyways. Vasili's still free hitting on corner at the turret.
Yeah, tried to get the last auto attack off there, but didn't want to enter that fountain as he has a lot of damage to be used on these Nexus turrets. And the Nexus going to fall down as well. Vici game with a very different performance as Vasili almost wanders into the base. And that is going to spell a tie here between Royal Club and Vici.
Yeah, the first tie for Starhorn Royal Club this season comes at the 7th attempt right here. It was a very important performance from Vici, and I guess what I get from this series, and it's kind of a weird thing to communicate, is that what have Dandy and Mada brought this team? You can say that when they're ahead, they look wonderful, their play calling is excellent, but maybe from being on Samsung White for so long, they're kind of spoiled because they've played from ahead for so long. That communication doesn't seem to be paying dividends when they're behind. It feels like when they develop strategies to get back into games, this Vici team, maybe around playoffs time, they're going to play 44 regular season games before they get to the playoffs. Maybe by then they'll have the mature heads and the developed play calling to come from behind. But damn, they look good when they're ahead.
They certainly do. And even when they were behind, they were still warding a lot, but maybe that was sort of cutting into their bankroll as far as getting those items to really be a force in these fights. We'll see how they develop as the league continues. And man, I was just blown away by Vasili that game.
So let's see a replay here just to get a flavor of just how much impact Vasili was having in these fights. This is with the game all locked up. You look at the gold here. 700 gold actually is the advantage for Starhorn Royal Club. And I have to imagine this is the start of the death knell for Starhorn Royal Club's team club. So we'll roll the clip right here. It's just a turret defense coming out from Vici game. This is Starhorn Royal Club thinking they're ahead with a very poor sieging comp right here. And this is when the assassination starts to get going here. Well in the back lane. Tries to outplay. He already has a QS at this point. But he's so zoned from the team fight right here that even though there's a huge Gnar, there's no AoE damage to capitalize on all that CC that Cole was able to put out. And that was the recurring theme right here, is that it was very easy for Vici to take away one or both of the threats on the Starhorn Royal Club team, and it was so hard for at any point for Starhorn Royal Club to lock down this Vasili. This was the first triple quadra kill to start the rolling there for that Tristana, and that snowball continued throughout the game, ending 18-1-6 was this Tristana.
Just a gigantic score. And Carry as well, as we saw in that last replay, so sneaky on this Fizz, getting into the back line, and Hatong had his moments of glory as well. So the whole lineup just looking fantastic in that game, and things turning around and getting better for Vici Gaming. But that is going to bring us to the end of the day for our first day of Week 4. On behalf of myself, Papa Smithy, Pastry Time, and of course our whole production crew, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.